Hey, what's happening? What's happening? What's happening? What's happening? We are here. Super excited to have everybody along for the ride. So first off, if you are joining us by way of replay, welcome. I'm Glenn P. Brooks Jr. I'm an author, I'm a speaker, and I'm a coach. And this lovely, beautiful, light-skinned, effervescent 58 woman sitting here next to me is the lovely
Sheri, can you turn on?
Oh, my bad.
Thank you. Sheri A. Brooks Jr. I'm an author, speaker, and relationship coach. And it's great to be here with you guys on this lovely, lovely Thursday.
It's a Thursday, guys. We are absolutely live. I'm trying to work out all the tech buttons and the different things here. If you guys can see us, hear us, if everything is coming through okay and you're here live, can you please give us a thumbs up? We're going to try and wait a little bit just to make sure that we are making it through. And we appreciate you guys for just hanging out with us. Today's going to be an incredible day. It is the second time that we've done a live show in the short 5 episodes that we've done. We normally have...
Since we've come back.
Say again.
Since we've come back.
Yeah.
You say 5 episodes. We've done this before.
Oh, this is definitely not our first rodeo. So when Sheri said since we've come back, and I would certainly give them context here in a bit, babe, but this particular show is only 5 episodes in. Sheri and I did, and you can find that on our YouTube channel. Please go like, share, and subscribe. But this particular, we did a series called Breakfast with the Brookses for 3 years. And when I say, I'm sorry, almost 2 years, it was 100 episodes every Saturday. And you are right in the way. You just shifted a whole thing, babe, so that you're clear. That's okay. So at that particular point, Breakfast with the Brookses was something that we were super proud of. We did 100 episodes of it. And you guys can go back and take a look at some of the things that we've done. And I believe that it will absolutely help you on your journey. But if you're here live right now, do me a huge favor and put good afternoon, buenos tardes, whatever the language you speak. A thumbs up, put something in the chat. I just want to make sure that we can be heard. So with that being said, the reason we are doing this particular show live, and normally we would do them pre-recorded, is because we wanted to sort of lend our voices to answering questions. If you guys are in the room and you have any questions, we certainly want to be available to do it. Good afternoon, Marsha. Can you guys hear us okay, Marsha? Give me a thumbs up if you can. Give me a thumbs up if you can, and we'll go from there. Sheri is working on a few technical things, and so we want to get some things worked out, and I just want to make sure that we can be heard, and technically we're good to go before we go into all of what we're going to talk about today. Okay? So do me a favor, put a 1 in the chat if you can hear us, and if you're there, obviously, if they can't hear us, they wouldn't be putting a 1 in the chat, I guess. So, good afternoon, Marsha. It's good to see you there. Babe, do me a favor and kind of bring people up to speed. Last week when we were on, okay, Marsha gave us a thumbs up. Awesome. So last week when we were on, we kind of left off, and this show was dedicated to, we're winding down to 25 years in a row. And we've been married for 25 years. We're not going to talk about, I don't know, only black people do we've been together for this and been married this. No, we are talking about married life. We've been married. It'll be 25 years in a row.
25 long years.
Long years, Lord Jesus. Can you talk to people? Can you talk to people a little bit about what, just a really quick recap, how we met, getting people here. And by the way, guys, be advised that we're going to be formally putting together our story here this year and rolling out some things that I think is so amazing. But if you can give them the Cliff Notes version, babe, come on, talk to us.
So the Cliff Notes version is we met in Washington, D.C. Glenn was the station manager for a radio station. He started a youth choir. My daughter auditioned for the youth choir and became a member of that choir. So we met. And actually, it was kind of a working relationship initially. I volunteered to work with the staff for the choir. We became friends. We were friends for about a year before we actually started before we noticed each other, I'll put it that way, and started dating. Because although we were friends, neither of us were really attracted to the other. I had just come out of a divorce. He was in the process of a divorce. We weren't, I particularly wasn't looking to be in a relationship at all. And so it was cool having a male friend that really was just a friend. And then, over time that turned into something more. And we got married a year after that. And we blended our family together. I have a daughter from my previous marriage, from my first marriage. And Glenn had a son from his second marriage, and so I have a son now, and he has a daughter. And so we blended our families together, and in the process of that, over the past 25 years, not only did we blend our family together with our children, we also were able to successfully blend our family together with Glenn's ex-wife, who is Justin, our son's mother, and we've blended our families together. She's one of my dearest, closest friends. We vacation with her and her husband regularly. And we've gone through our go-through. Over the past 25 years, we have had some ups and downs financially. Glenn left radio, went and worked in ministry full-time, had ups and downs with that, to be honest, almost tore us apart, just due to the stress and the things that come along with that when you're in an unhealthy ministry environment. But we've survived it. And then we relocated. We moved from Maryland to Atlanta, then from Atlanta to Virginia Beach, and now we're in Panama.
So with that being said, real quick, one of the things that I want to say is that the ups and downs, the highs and lows back then was trying to figure out where we needed to change. And I want to talk about that today. Last week, somebody posed a question, are there questions that you guys asked yourselves when you began to identify that there was a need to change in some areas? Because I know that when it comes to, and I put it in the post today as I talked about this earlier, here's a little known marital fact. If you're in a relationship and longevity is your goal, at some point it's going to require both of you to make adjustments, i.e. to change. Sheri, we live in a culture that isn't huge proponents of changing in relationships. I came in here like this. You knew who I was when we got married. Why don't expect me to change. I'm me, you, let's do us, and that sort of stuff. So if there was, and this is all organic, guys, we didn't rehearse any of this. Talk to us. Hey, Mr. Hurlin, it's good to see you. Do me a favor, y'all, share this out to as many people as possible, and let's get this party started. We're not going to be here too long, I don't think. And but can you talk to us, babe, when you recognize, and you posed to me some things that really challenged me in the very beginning when we were dating, and I was not ready to change in some areas. And y'all need to understand, I proposed to Sheri 3 times, and she said no 3 times. She didn't say yes until the 4th time. But on that 4th time when you said yes, you gave me some conditions. You gave me some things, some challenge me in some areas that I needed to change. And this has everything to do with how we've ended up all these years later. And I think really, really succeeding at some stuff. Come on, talk to me, babe.
Right. One thing that I always say is I almost felt like we cheated when we got married because we had both had failed relationships before. I had 2 failed marriages before. We kind of came into this knowing what we needed to do, or we knew what to do to screw up a marriage because we had done that.
Right.
And so it was kind of like if we just don't do what we did before, we should be okay. But one of the things that when we came together, we were both in a season of working on ourselves.
Yep.
We both had already started doing some introspection and realized there were areas within us that needed to change, and we were doing our own work. So for me personally, I realized that I was not a good communicator. I had never really learned how to communicate. I would hem and haw around stuff. I would leave innuendos. I expected you to read my mind. And I realized that didn't work. I had to learn how to communicate what I was feeling, when I was feeling it in the moment, and not explode, or it didn't have to be an emotional conversation, but I needed to learn how to communicate. And so that was something that when we first met, that during our time as friends, it started to open me up, is that because Glenn was the first person that I could ever really just sit with and just really have a real conversation about anything. Mm-hmm. We would sit and talk about any and everything. He would make me laugh uncontrollably. But I started learning the art of communication during that time. For Glenn, like he said, he had proposed to me 3 times, and I said no because there was an elephant in the room. The elephant was that there was something he wasn't being honest with me about. And my number one value is integrity, and I need to know the truth. And so I've always had the mindset that I don't care what it is, what's going on, tell me the truth and I can handle it. I'll deal with it from there. But if you lie to me, for lack of better terms, you're dead to me. I can't deal with a liar. I grew up in an environment that was prevalent. When I was younger, I was actually a habitual liar. So I knew the damage that caused. And so I did not want to move forward in my life with that being in the relationship. And so there was a particular area in Glenn's personal life that he was not being fully transparent about, even though I have eyes and I can see. And I had asked him about it several times and he kept saying no. And I told him point blank, if you can't tell me the truth about this, we're not going forward. And so he was able to then for himself figure out that, he had to overcome his own fears of telling the truth, because there were reasons why he wasn't telling me, because he assumed that if he told me that I was going to walk away. But for me, it was you telling me the truth, because it wasn't something that was ongoing at the time. It had already been dissolved. And just for full transparency, he was seeing somebody else during one of the periods when we had kind of broke up, but we were back together, and he was seeing somebody else. And I was like, dude, is there something going on here? Was there something going on? And he wouldn't tell me. And so by the time I started asking him, that had dissolved. But I still, because they were in a situation, they were still around each other, I needed to know what was going on. I know that you're not still seeing this person, but where are they? Where are you with that? Am I just a rebound off of the rebound, type thing? And so I needed to know the truth. And so Glenn had to overcome his fears that him telling the truth was going to cause me to walk away. And I think that one thing, when we get in relationships, a lot of times we're so accustomed to keeping the peace. We don't want to rock the boat. You're not going to ask the hard questions because you don't want to know the answer. You don't want to deal with the feeling that comes with the answer. But you're doing yourself and your partner a disservice if you guys don't put the truth on the table and deal with what it is. I'm a firm believer. I don't believe there's anything that goes on in a marriage that you can't overcome if you're both willing to do the work. And if you're willing to change whatever that negative behavior is.
So let me jump in real quick, babe, because I'm writing this down. Questions that we asked that led, I'm going to write this down, to longevity. Somebody put that in the chat, Marsha, if you can. Questions that you need to ask if this relationship is going to last. You said something, and I was going to go there. Most people don't want to ask the hard questions because of the fear of rejection. Here's one of the things that I've come to the conclusion of, especially if it's on the front end of the relationship. You want to be rejected. Listen to me really, really carefully. You want a truth spoken to cause you to back up and say, wait a minute, there's cause for pause here. Because oftentimes, babe, people don't ask those legit questions, hard questions, and they don't get rejected until 3 years later, 5 years later, 10 years later. Now you got kids, you got a house, and there are underlying things that you need to ask. So we're going back and we're asking the question, or we're telling Sharon, based upon some comments last week when we were live, what were some of the questions you had to ask yourself that led to this thing long term? So for those of you guys who are just joining us, we're talking about how it started and how it's going. If I talk about how it started, we were excited but ignorant. If I talk about how it's going, we are really best friends in real life, but we don't know everything. So come on, chime in on that, babe.
Yeah, I wanted to backtrack a little bit. One thing before me even asking the hard question, we both had to ask ourselves what were our values. We had to know what we valued for our lives. What were our personal values? For me, it was it was integrity, it was family, it was spirituality. Those were things that I valued. And for me to align with any other person, our values had to be similar. They had to be near each other. He couldn't be all the way on the other side of the spectrum. And so I think oftentimes when we get in relationships, and let's be honest, when you meet somebody, you're attracted to them physically first and foremost, in most cases. We will allow that attraction to cause us to overlook those little red flags the pink flags. We're going to call them pink flags. You'll overlook the pink flags because you're so attracted. They have, they check all the boxes on the exterior. They got a good job. They got their own house. They're educated. They're nice on the eyes. But you'll overlook the fact that, as a woman, you're dating a man that has children, but he doesn't spend time with his children. Or he's always fussing about issues with his baby mama. He doesn't spend time with his family. Or when you see him around his family, he's disrespectful. Or even just the friends that he hangs around, you look at them and they're a little shady. It's like, if these are the type of people he hangs with, that speaks to his character.
Can I jump in? Mm-hmm. One of the things that I realize, guys, especially when it comes to, and if you need to step out for a second, just let me know, because I got the air on. It's kind of warm in here. It is 95 degrees today, I think, in Panama, so it's warm. We got the air on, but I want to say this, Bay. When you talk about value, so we're telling you guys questions that we asked that led, once we got the answers to those, it led to longevity in a relationship. There are some of you guys who are attempting to make a relationship last for the long haul, but you will not ask the hard questions that will identify if the relationship even has the capacity to do that. When you say values, I need y'all to understand, I did not value integrity. There's a difference between a person that says, I don't lie, versus a person that says, I'm integrous. See, a person who tells the brash, brutal, honest truth, they always out there with it, they don't have any filter, they could say, but I didn't lie though. Integrity says that you can keep my confidence. Integrity says that even though you know this, you're not necessarily going to speak up and speak to it at the moment just because it, quote, needs to be said. So if I don't value integrity and she does at her core level, let me give y'all a little hint. Values are not something you wish for. Values are not something you hope for. Values are not something you want. Values are something you do. It's who you already are. And unfortunately, I already was a person that didn't have any integrity. As a result of that, I lied. I was a liar. But it wasn't because I know plenty of truth tellers that have no integrity. If that makes any sense, Paige.
Yeah, and so you just confused the heck out of them. So, as I said, my value was integrity. He did not value integrity. The turning point for us was that question. Him being able to tell the truth in that situation. I knew he was a typical salesman. All that comes with that, for lack of better terms, a cruddy salesman. So he had some character flaws. But the thing that I have realized over the time while we were friends, he was being transparent. He was being open with me. He was being integrous, even though he would say he didn't value it. In the confines of our relationship, I got to see the real him. He wasn't hiding anymore. And I realized part of him not being integrous was his people pleasing. He was fearful of people's responses. If you took away that fear, he didn't have a problem with being honest.
Let me push back just a little bit, because you opened up by saying I've confused people. I don't want to do that. I didn't have any integrity.
No, I know.
Period. Because I could look at you and know the good to do and not do it. I did not have integrity. And if I did, it was situational. It was always relative to how it would pay me. How did I benefit from that? That's manipulative. That's where narcissistic behavior comes from. That was me. And what I realized, and this is to your point, I felt safe with you to talk about stuff unrelated to me and you. So as a result of that, yeah, I could tell you the flat, honest everything about everybody else, but ask me, are you still seeing that woman? And all of a sudden I'm clamming up. That to me is a lack of integrity. There's no value there. I could do it. It's something that I could traffic in. But I hope y'all are not confused, because I'm going to promise you, I know me. And I was not a nice person at all. And I need people to know that, Sheri. That's legit. Y'all hear me being passionate about that? That's because some of you guys are getting in relationships with people you're not asking the right questions like Sheri did, and you don't find that out until after you say I do, and now you're ready to kill somebody. Come on, babe.
Right. And so when I said it was confusing them, I'm talking about because I'm saying that was my standard. And knowing that about you, and I'm talking about red flags, pink flags. If I saw that red flag, why did I move forward? The reason why I moved forward with that was because, like I said, that was a pivotal moment. Because he was willing to be honest. And because, like I said, as us being friends, he had been honest in other areas. So I knew that he had the potential. And I also realized that the reason why he wasn't honest was because he was fearful. If I could continue to create a safe space where he didn't feel like he was going to be judged, that he felt like he was going to be looked down upon, then he would be open to telling me the truth once he got past that initial conversation.
100%.
Which is what happened. I mean, I've never had any reason to doubt you. I've never had any reason to think that you lied to me. We've been extremely transparent and open over the past 25 years about everything. And so it was almost like that was like a switch went off in him. After that one moment, he's never lied to me that I know of, since that day. But there's been nothing, there's been, you know what I'm saying? It's like you crossed over at that point.
Yeah, and I'm trying to jump in, babe, because the beauty of what you're saying is it's not that I've never lied to you. I'm not disingenuous. Right. And I think that there's a difference. Let's move to number 2. If there are questions and things that we pose to each other that really allowed us to build the kind of longevity that it takes to make a relationship work for us, a 25-year marriage here on January 30th, 2024. Yay. Then the question becomes, what are some of those questions that we ask of each other? For me, it is, do I like you? Do listen to me very, very carefully, because that's a value. Yeah. See, let me tell y'all a secret. Love is obligatory. You can love your children and not like them. If you're a parent, don't say amen. Calm down. Be careful, because they might see the replay. But you can be on a job that you love and you don't like going there. However, if you like it, there are some things that you will push past that will enable you to learn to love it. Because there is a I'm affectionate towards this. This is something that I rock with. This is my, and so Sheri's and our friendship was something that changed everything for me. She was the very first woman that I'd ever been in a relationship where I felt safe enough to just share my innermost thoughts, right? And I genuinely liked her. And so therefore, when we became closer friends, when we started dating, when you posed that question, it was on the other side of light. It was down the road of, I felt safe, like I could trust my friend with this information. And I think a lot of husbands and wives, babe, are in relationship where they ain't friends. And so therefore, you're not sharing your innermost thoughts with somebody because, quite frankly, you don't trust them with that thought. Come on, talk to me. You're doing a lot of moaning.
Yeah, and I think that friendship is something that's overlooked. Like I said before, when we first meet a person, you're attracted to them physically. If you don't take the time to actually nurture a friendship with that person, you can be attracted to a person and not like them, because you haven't taken the time to really get to know them. Now, it doesn't mean that they're perfect. It doesn't mean they don't have their flaws. But it's like when you grow up, like your best friend, you and your friends, y'all can get into it. Y'all can have disagreements. Y'all might not talk for a day, but y'all can always come back together. When you like a person, you're going to go that extra mile. You're willing to stick in it with them. If I don't like you, I can leave you. It ain't that serious. Love, and this is the thing, love comes and goes. And what I mean by that feeling of love, the butterflies, the fluttery feeling, you getting flushed when you see that comes and goes over time. Because we're human. There are seasons in your life where I like you, but I ain't feeling you like that. But that don't mean because we're friends, we still cool. But if we weren't friends, I'm sleeping in the other bedroom, you in the other bedroom, I ain't dealing with you.
Here's what's funny, babe, because, people will say real quick, because of the long time that somebody has been married, that speaks to the state of their relationship. And we know people who've been married for more than 50 years and can't stand each other. And so we're talking about, for those of you guys that are just jumping on, and I appreciate if you guys would share this out. If you're a replayer, put replay in the chat. If you have not liked, shared, and or subscribed to the channel, please do that. One of the things you're going to find out is our channel is riddled with all kinds of couple information. Sheri and I are coaches. We've written 9 books between the two of us, and we've built an entire coaching and speaking career around a lot of those subjects. The truth is that you'll find a plethora of that on our channel. So go take a look at that, look at the description, and get engaged. I want to come up with a third question or third thing that we asked ourselves, and this is all organic, guys. We have not rehearsed this. But I want to help some people out, because the question was asked last week, how do you know what questions to ask that will lead to longevity? Come on, talk to me.
I think the third question is a question you have to ask yourself is like, am I willing to go through the hard stuff? Am I, in your wedding vows, there's for richer, for poor, for sickness and in health. But you have to really ask yourself, am I really that committed to this person that I'm willing to go through the ups and downs? That I'm willing to, my phrase with Glenn was, I'm willing to eat hot dogs and beans if we got to.
Actually, the actual verbiage was oodles and noodles. Come on now.
And that got tested. But there was a question I had, and for him, the question was, would he be willing to stay if I got sick and he had to take care of me? I think we have to ask ourselves those questions, because you can be in love, you can like the person, all those things, but if you're not in it for the long haul, it's superficial. It's as soon as a storm hits, you're going to be willing to give up. And I think that's something we have to ask ourselves on the front end. Now, it doesn't always mean that you still stay. It doesn't. I mean, there are hundreds of billions of people get divorced every year. We're both have been divorced in the past. But I think when you enter into the relationship with the mindset that divorce is not an option, that no matter what, I'm going to stay, it increases the chances of your relationship really surviving. And I think that's a question that you have to really ask yourself. And it's kind of going down the list of, worst case scenario, if this happened, and this happened, am I willing to stick? Am I willing to stick in this?
Do you remember that time when you asked me that very specifically, and I hesitated? You said, hey, if anything ever happened to me and I got sick, could you take care of me? And the reason I hesitated is because at the time I wasn't willing, nor was I able to take care of myself. And I think that that's a point to make. When you are observing somebody in a relationship who doesn't take care of themselves, and when I mean take care of themselves, I mean they care for themselves. They care what they put in their mouth. They care how they move. They care how they interact with people. They care about their prioritizing their own mental health. They care about them, and they treat them with a priority of, listen, I can't pour from an empty cup. If you're dealing with people who consistently rock off on E, I'm gonna tell you, be careful. And the reason why is not because you're not dealing with a hustler, an entrepreneur who's in a grind season. I get all of that. A startup entrepreneur ain't got no life. But here is what I'm dealing with. I'm dealing with the mentality that says, no, I can do this forever. So yeah, those come in seasons. They may go through a season of a year or two where they just legit ain't got no time for nobody else. I just heard a friend of mine say, and that's why they did not commit to a relationship in that season. That's the kind of person you're trying to deal with. I like you. I would love to build a relationship with you, but this is the wrong season. If you can wait, then I'd be interested in revisiting this idea. That's the kind of stuff you're looking for. So for me, babe, it was really about this idea of I couldn't take care of me. And I proved that on a regular basis.
I don't have nothing to say to that.
All right, cool. Listen, a lot of times that comes across as, man, I don't know what to say with that. Because I felt bad when she was like, if something ever happened to me, could I would you take care of me? I'm like, what you mean? I mean, what do you mean, what you mean? Bruh, if the woman breaks her ankle and she can't get up out the bed, are you willing to help sit her on the toilet? Are you willing to wipe her behind? Are you willing to feed her? Are you willing to do what needs to be done? When you start testing those kinds of thoughts, you get a chance to see where people are how people are built, quite frankly, and are they willing? Now, obviously, we are closer to 60 than we are to 50. We are on 25 years in a row with each other. You were married twice before me. I was married for 12 years prior to her. So I am clearly talking through the lens of a rear view mirror. So please understand the context of that. But what I want y'all to understand is that these are the quality questions that you need to be thinking about and you need to be posing if you want to build something long term. Come on.
Yeah, and I think another question that you should ask is that are they a safe person? And what I mean by safe, this goes back to when I was saying, like, looking at their relationships with other people and seeing, are they safe? How do they talk to you? Are they respectful? What are their relationships? And this is why you have to take the time to not only get to know them, you need to get to know the people in their circle. Because you get to really see who they are when they're around the people that are in their circle, and you get to really see, are they a safe person? Because a new broom sweeps good. When you first get with somebody, everybody's putting their best foot forward, which I hate that phrase, but they're putting their best foot forward. You're going to be on your best behavior. No, I need time to see, let's have an argument, let's have a disagreement, and let me see, how far do you go? Is this thing going to ramp up where you are being completely disrespectful? You acting like you about to put your hands on me? I need to know that before I commit to you, because I need to know, how do you handle the stresses of disagreement? How do you handle the stresses of conflict? How do you, do you know conflict resolution skill? Do you have conflict resolution skills? How do you handle the ups and downs? You've gone through something, and how do you handle that? I need to know that before I say I do, because I need to know whether or not you're safe. Because if you, like most of us, we've grown up in dysfunctional environments. Many of us did. But if you haven't done your work to heal over that, you're bringing that baggage into our relationship, and I'm committing to you and your baggage. So I need to know what that baggage is, and I need to decide, can I deal with that baggage? Am I willing to help you carry that baggage?
Sheri, I think the important thing, you said something as we get ready to bring this thing to a close. The reason why I need to identify if they're safe is all of us bring something in the way of baggage to a table.
Yes.
And if we are both going to be in a relationship long term, at some point, somebody's going to have to help carry the other person's load. And if you're dealing with a person who will not even disclose what that load is, now, in fact, what you're saying is, I'm going to expect you to carry a load that you're not aware of. And quite frankly, now you're having to, out of obligation, now commit to carrying a load that, had you had the privy of knowing on the front end, you know what? I don't want to carry that load. I'm not going to disclose it here because it was incredibly personal. But you shared something with me in our friendship stage about you. We were not having sex. And you told me something about you from a physical standpoint that was true of you and your situation. And it's funny that I think about this now. I haven't thought about this since you said that. And you said to me, before we go any further, you need to know this. Are you good with that? And I was like, wow. Because it's one of those kinds of things, if you never disclose that, and at the end of 4 or 5, 6 years in, it could affect me in a way that it would have caused me to make a decision that would have been ill-informed. Yeah. And so now I'm making a decision, do I want to keep riding with you? Because quite frankly, you didn't tell me something, and you were not a safe person. That is, you got something, babe?
Yeah, and I'm not saying when you first meet a person, you put all your cards on the table. But if you are dating a person and it's moving towards engagement, or you're even, you're engaged, you need to put all your cards on the table. You need to let them know everything that's going on with you, what your family dynamic is. Hopefully they know the family dynamics before then. And today, there's no excuse for you not to meet your partner's family. There's Zoom, there's, there are video options, there are ways that now it's not the same as being in the room with them, but at least you can get somewhat of a feel for them. But if you're with somebody and they're hiding their family, they're hiding, you've never met their friends, you've never, you don't know what they, I'm thinking about Martin with Tommy, you don't know what they do for a living, they just go to a job. If there are things that aren't being disclosed, that's a red flag, because why are you keeping this part of your life secret from me, especially once you've been dating for a time and the relationship is moving. Now, yeah, on the first date, they ain't gonna tell you everything. I'm not saying that. But if you've been together for a minute and the relationship is progressing, and I'm going to say what progressing is, and this is not going to be a popular opinion, but once you engage in intimate interaction with that person, all cards need to be on the table. Because at this point, you have opened yourself up to that person. You've opened yourself up to the other person. You need to know who you're dealing with.
Listen, I need you to unpack that, because when you say, because see, here's the thing I thought about, babe. There are people, particularly in our culture, y'all listen, we don't wait for the physical part. And I need y'all to understand, we have no problem bearing our behind, but we have every problem bearing our soul. If you want to fight me over that, come on, let's bring it. You are quickly willing to drop your drawers and get in the bed and do the nasty and do all the things, but you're not going to be transparent with people. But what you're saying is, the minute that level of intimacy goes down, I need to now be able to forthright let you know everything that's on the table.
How you exchanging fluids with somebody and you don't know nothing about them?
Help me!
Let's
help me.
This ain't the 80s. This ain't the 70s. The day and times that we are in now. Before you exchange fluids, you need a social security number. You need to run a credit check. You need to know who you're dealing with. You need a copy of their driver's license. You need to know who it is that you're dealing with. When you get to that level in your relationship, you are opening yourself up physically, emotionally, spiritually to this person, and for you not to know who you're doing that with is irresponsible on your part. I don't care how fine he is, I don't care how pretty she is, you're doing yourself a disservice, because you're opening yourself up to something and you don't even know who this person is, and then you're heartbroken when they ghost you, but you didn't even know they had the potential to ghost you because you didn't take the time to get to know them. And I'm not saying that's got to be 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, whatever you set your time frame, but you need to know who you're dealing with before you sleep with them.
Now that the word of the Lord has been dropped, listen. For those of you guys that want to find out more information about who we are, what we do, why we do it, and who we do it for, we are the Brookses. Behind Closed Doors is the name of our new offering, our new show right here every Thursday on YouTube. You can expect us to either A, drop an episode at 12 noon, or B, go live at 12 noon. And so we're going to be doing some interchangeable content. If there's some things that you want to know about us, the description has all the information you'll ever need to know. We do run an online program called the MAPS, Marriages and Parenting Successfully in Life and Business Community, where we basically are coaching couples and parents who probably are growing a business or ministry. They are trying to do that without losing their mind or going to jail. and they want to grow in a healthy community with a bunch of people who are incredibly vulnerable, transparent, but they tight-lipped, because truly what goes on in there stays in there. They don't judge. They're not perfect, but they absolutely believe that, you know what, we need each other. It is not the community that subscribes to the what goes on behind closed doors should not be shared. It's not the community that says what goes on in this house stays in this house. That's not this community. This is a community that you can glean from what somebody else has gone through without judging them, because all of us up in there live in glass houses and we carry it like that. This community is approaching 7 years old. We launched it 7 years ago on our actual marital anniversary. And so this coming January 30th, that community will be 7 years old. So receipts, we got them. Longevity, we got them. We ain't just been around the block. We've been here, and we would love to service you guys. Hey, Chanel, it's good to see that you jumped in. Missed you. And Marsha, thank you so much for scribing. These are members of our community. And Mr. Hurlin, appreciate you for jumping in. And at least there's a bunch of y'all who ain't said nothing in the chat. So you here, and I want to say hello to you. But for whatever reason, you have not said anything. I can tell that you're in here. But we'll be back next week. And if there's any comments, any thoughts, any feedback, any questions that you have, feel free to drop them.
Yeah, any questions that you guys have in regard to marriages or parenting, put it in the chat. Let us know so we can address those topics. We want to make sure that we are meeting your needs and giving you information that can help you guys to grow your relationships. Also, stay tuned. We are going to be doing some new things this year in 2024 in regard to the MAPS community. And so stay tuned. If you have not, please go to our website and check it out to see some of the different programs. It's actually getting ready to be updated, so don't go today. Go tomorrow, because it's about to be updated. But Marsha, if you can put the website in the feed, I'd appreciate it. But you guys go to our website, check out what we do there. Also, please subscribe here to the YouTube channel, ring the bell so you get notifications when we go live or when we post new content weekly. And thank you guys for spending your lunchtime with us.
At the end of the day, here's what I can promise you. You cannot get to any place of significance by yourself, because we all, need some help and need to stop pushing
too many buttons.
Listen, y'all be good. We'll see y'all next week.
Bye, guys.